5 critical SEO fixes every small business needs in 2026. Happy New Year, and thank you always for listening to the We Don't Play podcast show. Thank you for always listening to conversations like this that will always get you ahead of the curve and always give you results that you're looking for based on the activities that you participate in. Now, when I came up with this title, I decided to focus heavily on the SEO fixes part because there's so many things to fix when it comes to SEO, and you always keep fixing things. Not that it's a bad thing, but it gets to a point where you also want to know how these fixes affect your process, how it affects your plan, how it affects your intuition on taking the next action, the next step, the next plan. So this is why I'm always bringing rooms like this to help you understand some things so that you're able to know exactly what to do. Because when you know something, you do better. When you know better, you do better. So thank you for being here. Why, Nick, James, Heavenly, Joseph, you're all welcome. And I hope you're all having a wonderful day. Please, if you feel free to leave, that's fine. But before you do, make sure you click the link at the very top where there are 2 options you can choose from. The very link at the top will keep you in contact with me so that you can get all my emails, just get in contact with me if you have any questions. After you leave your file, you will now get redirected to get on a call with me so we can talk about anything that you need regarding the SEO. And then if you want to save this replay for later, before we get into the discussion for today, and I'll be here for the next hour. So if you have any question, feel free to raise your hand or put it in the chat and I'll be willing to respond back to you. So thank you for being here as well. Unique, Naveen, Mormor, and Monte, and Adrian, Nitin, Carlton, thank you for being here as well. You're all appreciated and I hope you're having a wonderful day. Now, SEO is important. And why I say this is important and some critical things to look into are very important to fix. Because if you're a small business owner and you're listening to this and you have a small business, the number one thing that I believe you should be focusing on is brand awareness. That in itself should solve a lot of problems, right? When people are thinking about top of mind places to go, things that they discover when they find you, things that you're affiliated to, brands that you're connected to, how you show up online, it's very important to think about this as a business. Now, there are 5 major critical SEO fixes that every small business needs in 2026. And I'm going to list them for you so that you can be able to see how they all play a role into your today and also for tomorrow, right? The first thing that is critical for your SEO, the first thing that is critical for your SEO is your site architecture. Site architecture. That's very important. And I'm going to put that word in the chat so that anything that I mentioned today, you can always refer back to the chat. Site architecture. Now, what is site architecture or website architecture? This simply just means the structure that you have given your website to perform at based on the level of capacity it can contain. In other words, if you have a website and your website is driving traffic, then that means that you have an architectural site that has the content and the context of information that people will be searching and finding where you'll be valuable for their time or to their time. So if I'm looking for recipes for cookies, right? Cookie recipes, and I end up on a website that gives me a cookie recipe, and not only a cooking recipe, but they also give me a YouTube video to watch, or they give me a podcast episode to listen to, or they give me a DIY ebook that I can download for free and get to see it, or they give me a pictorial infographic that I can be able to look at and manage or do like a wikihow.com. Now, when you see that happen consistently, right, that is in itself site architectural information that you're giving 2 sets of people. You're giving both the algorithm and you're also giving it to the consumer, right? So if you're thinking about critical SEO fixes, right, your site architecture has to be top notch. Why does it have to be top notch? Because when you have a website, right, your website has to have something called a canonical tag. This is part of the structure. A canonical tag. When you see something that says CNAME, that means canonical name. In other words, if I was to call you, if your name is Adam, right? And your name is Adam. If your name is Adam and then your last name is Apple, right? If it's Adam Apple and that's your name, the canonical name should also be Adam Apple. But what normally happens is that the name is Adam Apple, but the canonical name is blank. That's what normally happens. And why I'm giving you this example is because if your website is www.a.com, then it means that your canonical name also has to show that same pattern. Why is this so important? Because when you think about site architectural formatting, everything has to align, right? You can't have an address with the wrong plot. You can't drive to the wrong location with the quote unquote right address. It has to make sense all around. So when your site architecture is wrong, it means that it's not just your links that are broken. It could also mean that your site is not performing at a high capacity because you have a lot of images on your website that are slowing down the speed of your site. You might be uploading images that are 5 megabytes, 10 megabytes. Those are pretty heavy images. So your site architecture is everything within the structure of the website. So when you're looking at your structure, look at my website images fast loading. Do I have any broken links? Do I have any duplicate links? Is my canonical tag correct? And one easy way to solve that is when you're connecting your website to Google Search Console, there are two sections. There's a left side and there's a right side. The left side focuses on the domain property, and that carries everything because you're adding what you call the TXT record to the domain property, which is your domain name server, right? Your DNS or your domain name system. They're usually, it's either system or server. Now, when you look at the DNS, that is technically the DNA of your website. Just like with your body, you have a structure. Your body has a structure, right? So the way your body is the way you're going to perform, right? If you're an athlete, if you like to run, if you like to swim, if you like to work, if you like to jog, if you like to hike, that's going to be based on your body. I can even call it your body metamorphosis, right? But at the same time, that's still within the structural format of how you perform, right? How much do you eat? How much do you weigh? How much do you sleep? How much do you pray? How much do you do things that are going to consider your day a success based on how much effort you put in to the I would say the beginning or the start of your journey, right? So it's the same thing that applies to your website. We're in 2026. I won't be surprised if some websites are still showing 2023, 2024, 2025 as your copyright. That tells the system that you've not updated your algorithm. The same way you woke up this morning to brush your teeth, to get ready for the day, to shower, to have breakfast, to, get to work, to have a good day. You combed your hair, you feel good, you smell good. Those are the things that you're doing to update your lifestyle. Now, if your website is dormant, it means that it has never received an update before, or if it has, it's been a while. And that's a problem because when you look at the site architecture of your website, it's supposed to stand strong. Your website is supposed to stand strong. It's not just supposed to be a website that's supposed to just be online. It's supposed to do something for you. It's either supposed to drive traffic, drive brand awareness, drive some data intelligence, drive campaigns. It has to drive something. Your website needs to be a driver. Even these days, there are cars that drive themselves. So your website should be able to drive itself to the point where all you're getting is feedback. You're getting information, you're getting loops, you're getting emails, you're getting contacts. That should tell you, okay, this thing is working. So site architecture is so important, right? Your H1 tags through your H6 tags are important. Your heading tags, if you have a heading tag, let your heading tag have the right information, right? If you have a heading tag, let that heading tag have the right information. If it's location based, if it's cookie based, if it is real estate based, if it's food based, if it's content creation based, let it be known, because those are the very specific areas of focus that your website is going to gain dominance in. And if you're not able to consider those things as a point of reference, it's going to be hard for you to scale those things. So it's very critical to think about your site architecture. That's very important. That's super, super important. So if you have any questions, please put it in the chat. We're going to cover 5 today. And welcome, Celeste. Glad to see you here as well. Prats, it's been a while. Good to see you as well, too. Celeste, what's going down? Happy New Year.
My gosh, am I finally on time? I usually come towards the end, but it sounds like you're just getting started.
Yes, I am. I'm so glad I was able to get this going. I was like, you know what? I haven't done a room officially this year. So I wanted to, spend the time and, spend time with you guys today. So how have you been? Thanks for the love, Pratt. How have you been, Celeste?
I've been really, really good. Happy 2026. How about you?
Happy 2026. I've been good. I've been doing a lot of, haven't gone to the second point yet, but I was telling people, how their site architecture should be based on how it's received by both the algorithm and also by the consumer, the person that's looking at the website. What would you like to say about site architecture? And what would you tell somebody who is a small business owner?
Sorry, can you repeat the question? I'm driving and someone was bothering me.
No worries. So my question is, how would you tell somebody who is a business owner or a business owner that runs a small business how they should factor in their site architectural format when they're creating online presence or building brand awareness for their business?
Oh, it's a site. So we're talking about a website, yeah? Can we focus on that? Okay, good, because I love talking about websites. So coincidentally, I was just doing a class for a niche audience where I did live website reviews, which is really fun. I might do it again. But I have 3 things I'm gonna cover them really quick. So obviously, design is like kind of low level because to me it's not the most important. But you don't want things flying in and out all over the place. 8 different fonts, 10 different colors, right? Simple is best. Okay, it's simple is my biggest recommendation. Number 2, obviously you want to make sure that your UX or user experience is good. The keyword here is easy. Oh my God, I cannot tell you how many clients I've landed just because they're like, okay, it's so easy to find what I need on your website. And y'all, if you look at my website, it's not even the prettiest. It is so basic, but last year, through that website, we had a record sales year. I did the numbers, 247K. Now, most of it came through, SEO and Google, but just by having a simple system that I use my website for helps me streamline clients and get the money. And last but definitely not least is obviously SEO. I'm trying to make sure that it is findable, but also people click on your list. I want to say listing, but I'm thinking Google My Business. People actually click on the search result that you're showing up for when you show up. So I would say those 3 things are most important. Design, UX, and SEO. So I'll kick it back to you, Favour. Yeah, what do you think? I want to know your answer to that.
Thank you, Celeste. Yes, definitely UX is important. User experience is highly paramount to the success of a website, because if you keep having a website that lets somebody scroll down till infinity and beyond, eventually they may not come back and they've gone down a rabbit hole that you send them into. So it's just best if you're able to split the pages up so that people can go exactly where they need to go, get what they need to get, and then make the necessary actions, which helps a lot for visibility, credibility, and also high performance. Because if you have a website that is an infinity scroll, I guess what? It's just going to get to a point where it will get dormant. So if you're able to catch everything at the top and put all the information there, whoever gets there is able to see it and it's faster for them to process. So yes, I definitely agree with that. Even with the site architectural format, another thing to note too is your URL, your Uniform Resource Locator. If somebody's in New York or Hawaii or Texas or India or Australia, wherever you are in the world. Yesterday, I talked to somebody all the way in Lithuania. We had a podcast interview and he came to my show, and it was a great episode, which you'll hear soon. And we connected on LinkedIn, but he's all the way in Lithuania, right? So why I'm giving you this example is wherever you are in the world, if somebody's looking for something specific and they find you on a LinkedIn platform or an Instagram platform, a TikTok platform, Facebook, YouTube, email, wherever it is, podcast, it's based on search. It's based on intent, and it's based on your URL, right? So if somebody's searching for cookies, they're going to get a cookie recipe PDF guide in form of a link or a YouTube video that has the words cookie in the title. So it has to match the search box with the search phrase within the search, I'll call it the search bracket. So URLs are very important. Schema is very important. Schema is just another way of saying microdata for algorithms to scan through. Things like recipes, events, blogs, I would say videos, timestamps, all those things that are very important. That's schema, because that is microdata that the algorithms are scanning, scripting, scheming, reading. And if your website has all these architectural formats that I've mentioned, I know there are a lot of them, but if you're able to rewind, listen, replay, it will help you to map and say, okay, I heard 5 of them. How many have I done? I've heard 10. However many you've heard that makes sense and that apply to you, it would be best to apply those things too, because without those things, it would be hard to scale, because you wouldn't be able to know how to track back, especially if you were not tracking through 2025. Yes, you can start from scratch, but it's hard. Let me ask you this, Celeste, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on this too. If client A came to you, has no presence, no local presence, they're both small business owners, right? Client A or prospect A came to you, needs help with SEO, but they don't have any SEO presence. They don't have any visibility online, yet they have a business and they're thriving. Referrals, word of mouth, they're doing very well, but they don't have any online presence. B, prospect B, client B is in the same city, but they have some type of local presence, but it's not definitive that they can scale. That's why they need your help. Now, when it comes to timeline, 3 months, 6 months, 12 months, how will you divide the time for both of them to get to the expected result? And then Celeste gets a phone call. So she'll be back. Hopefully, just interrupt me when you hear this, Celeste. Are you there?
Sorry, someone called me. Okay, repeat prospect B. I got A. Sorry.
But has some type of presence, but needs to scale because they don't have anything definitive to qualify for their branding. So when it comes to timing, scalability, we're in January right now. They both come to you in January. You have 12 months in the year. How much time do each of them need to get to the same destination?
So listen, I came here. I'm like, oh, a room. I didn't know you was going to give me an SEO test. Come on, you got to prep me. You're giving me like an SEO 101 pop quiz. Okay, I feel like prospect A, okay, they have absolutely no. And you know me, so even in school, teachers hated me because I'm always asking questions because obviously I have. Like, I just feel like the scenarios you gave me still have too many X factors. Like, okay, what kind of business is this and how much competition do they have online? To me, that's a really, really big indicator of how much time is needed to actually rank. Does that make sense? Like, there's some niches where, okay, you have like 0 competition, like your keyword difficulty score is like 1. And then there's some like, okay, they're an online t-shirt brand. Okay, well, it's going to obviously take B longer than A. So yeah, to me, that is a big determining factor. So I can't say, friend, I'm sorry. I can't say. I need more info.
You slid down right back to me. You kind of did like you did a reverse Uno over there, but it's okay. I love it. And you actually said something that I want to piggyback on too. The type of industry matters. The type of industry matters because you're definitely competing at a different level. I remember when there's a client that we started working with, this was last year, and they do bariatric surgery, right? And it's a very specific type of surgery. So, and then a specific city in California. So it's like, hey, we have the traffic, we have doctors, we have physicians, we know exactly what we're doing, but we need traffic from online. So they didn't have that. And within about this is established. So this is kind of like prospect B I was referring to. They already have some type of presence locally, but they didn't have definitive presence. So we scaled them up within 6 months. And now they don't really run ads at all because they're getting everything online, to the point where people can read the numbers on google.com to see their number and call in from a local standpoint. So that gave them a boost, because if they're focused in local and they're getting, specific type of surgery, then that's going to help somebody that's looking for that type of information to find them. They were not locally present online, so that's where things were able to just change all of a sudden. So yeah, it's big. It takes about, I would say, 6 months to definitively have a market position, because within the first month is when you're able to know what is the industry like. Because I would do an audit. That's what I'm even doing this year, which is going to be different from last year. We would normally do 3 months work together, but there's going to be an additional audit on top of the 3 months that's going to be separate from the payment for the 3 months, which is going to help you as a business owner to decide, hey, here's your report card. Do you want to continue, or do you want to keep it as is, and then we can come back and discuss it later? Because people don't even know where they are position wise. Are they ranking 5th place, 50th place, 500th place? Do they even know the market cap? Do they know the market value, the market share, the market voice? They don't know. So it's something that I realized it's just better for me to show you, better than I can tell you, so that when you decide, we're looking back and scaling forward instead of us guessing, because we're just shooting darts or blanks. So definitely it's a difference. But with person A or prospect A, if they don't have any presence, I usually tell them, give yourself 12 months. If you have a podcast, give yourself 3 months. If you don't have a podcast, give yourself 12 months. And it's wild, because with a podcast, you can do so many things, especially when it comes to distribution and AI, because especially now, if you're being featured on Cloud, on ChatGPT, on Perplexity, for certain key phrases that people ask Siri or ask Alexa or ask Google, and you have a voice to respond back in terms of a search box, that's a win-win-win. So that's what I'm doing now with my podcast, 600 episodes in year 7, 12th episode, 12th season. And now it's like, okay, now I understand the ropes, and it's faster, because instead of you spending 12, I've spent 7 years to get here, but now I can help somebody get there in less than 12 months. So definitely person A would need 12 months, 6 to 12 months, or prospect A would need 6 to 12 months. Prospect B will need at least 3 to 6 months. And then from there, you can look at the litmus test, see if anything moved, and then you can now decide from there and see what the next steps to take. So yeah, I would love to hear from you. And welcome, Dr. Fashion. I see Price has a question in the chat, so I'll come to that too. What you say?
Hi,
So
Favour. I have a quick question just for you. Are you in Las Vegas for CES? Are you not out here yet?
Question. I was going to reach out to you. I'm not there because it was going to be hard, because I'm going for a wedding. So I was like, how am I going to do both? Because I was like, okay, if I travel to 2 different places, it's going to be crazy. And then I still have, it was just a lot. I said, you know what, let me just sit down and just chill so that I can replan everything out well, but not this year. But I'll definitely, I know, it was just bugging me. And I was like, man, I wanted to go so bad, because I already had the tickets. And I was like, you know what, let me just take this year in a different way. And I have to just give myself some grace.
Well, you're out. It's all good. I do see that there's more creatives, a lot of content creators this year as opposed to like last year, and it's gonna be good. But I'll keep you updated on some things. So I'm gonna just be listening, because I'm about to head out to go to the strip.
Hey, no problem. Appreciate you. It was so good asking that question, because I was going to reach out to you and I was like, hey, B, this is what's going down. So I'm glad that you came in as well, but I still will reach out, because this year that's the destination. And last year I was there. I don't know if I told you I was there for the event. Entrepreneur Magazine had an event, and I was there. I was with it was the whole thing going on in August, and I was there. It was amazing. So I think it will be happening again this year, but I'll let you know if anything happens. I'll bring it up to speed for sure. But it's always great having you here as well. Before you go, what would you tell a small business owner that's looking for visibility, but also credibility, and authenticated credibility in 2026?
That's a good question. I know with a lot of the clients that I'm working with, really content is where it's at. And with that, they've been able to convert people over to their own products or services, because at this point, people are starting to trust them when they're sharing their knowledge and skill sets and videos. So I will say that's a good start for 2026. And you're going to see an increase of content being uploaded on social media, especially which is funny because we're talking about CES, but with the use of technology, how far advancing it is right now. So with the use of AI and all these amazing tools coming out, it's making it easier for people to really put out content in a shorter period of time, as opposed to what we experienced in the last 5 to 10 years. So I would say start there.
I love that. Yeah, it definitely makes sense. That community base is important because trust is going to be enforced through community. And when it's actualized and somebody can see, okay, I heard you talk about this, or the next person talks about it, it's a no-brainer. Like, you don't even have to do research because it's close to you and it's close enough for you to trust it. That's why you embrace it that way. So yeah, it definitely makes sense. Thank you for that feedback too. Pratt has a question, and questions: can you share the best ways to build an audience across social platforms and stay active without it getting tedious? Thank you, Favour. Appreciate your time. Thank you so much as well, Price, for the question. Before I answer, Celeste or Dr. Fashion, would you want to answer this? What would you say? Because I don't want it to just be me talking. And I know I want it to be very interactive as well, so that we can get different perspectives. If you would like to respond.
I had asked in the chat, Pat, do you mind answering my question? Because I think that'll help us get some more concrete answers for you. And hey, Dr. Fashion, good to see you. So I'll let you chime in if you want because I need to know the answer to my question. So go ahead.
Okay, let's see. So yeah, she said poetry, Instagram motivation, AI fun facts, YouTube shorts.
Okay, and then listen, because I'm in the service-based industry sector, so are you like a content creator? Is what I guess I'm wondering. It sounds like it. Yeah? Am I being slow? Is that what she is, y'all? Yes. Okay, great. Okay, so that makes sense because the reason why I ask is I get this question a lot, and I'm always wondering, like, in my brain, okay, because most people ask me like, how can I share it to all the platforms and make this, more streamlined? In my brain, I'm like, well, is your audience even on every platform? Because like for me, like, okay, as someone who helps with digital marketing, I have tried all the platforms, but I have seen that, like, okay, if anyone is a TikTok fan, please do not shoot me. But I do not like TikTok just for my own personal like business, but I can see how it's advantageous to other businesses, if that makes sense. TikTok is like sorry, I cuss a lot, y'all. It's like the fucking black hole of social media. I'm like, what the hell is going on over here? But like for me, it's interesting because again, I have a local service-based business. So I really focus on Facebook. A lot of my audience is there, and LinkedIn. I work with a lot of corporate clients. So for the average person who doesn't have like a local service-based business, that might not work. However, as a content creator, I could see how, like, okay, yeah, being on TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, that is all the things. But I would encourage you. Now, this is just me. Now, I would love to know if anyone disagrees. I think trying to conquer all is always going to be a very difficult strategy. You have to master a few first and then graduate to all. So honestly, I would kind of like zone in on like maybe what are the top 2 or 3, right? Where your audience is. Because even though you create content, your content is not going to be for everybody. So really figuring out like, all right, where is my audience at? And then focusing on mastering those platforms. So like 2 or 3. You also have like a YouTube superstar on the stage. Like I'm sure she can give me some tips on YouTube. I feel like YouTube is kind of a no-brainer for every single industry because if you didn't know, next to Google, YouTube is the largest search engine. So yeah. But that's my tip. So I'll pass the mic.
Dr. Fashion.
It was like she was in my head because she said everything I wanted to say.
Yes. Oh my God, we're so smart. Sorry.
Anyone? Well, I love when smart people say that because I'm like, oh, that means I'm smart too. Go ahead.
No, I agree with everything you said, especially about like being everywhere. I don't think it's necessary to be everywhere until you really, I mean, if you want to, fine, right? But a lot of people haven't really mastered the few platforms that they're on. And then they wonder why, when they are everywhere, it's not working out for them. And so, one of my tips is what I like to tell my clients is to create ones, but distribute your content smartly, because sometimes your videos may not work on every platform. Like for me, my YouTube videos, when I repurpose to Facebook, I have to change the hook. It's an older audience over there slightly, so I have to change the hook, but everything else is the same. So kind of just be mindful of that and just make sure you're looking at your analytics. And one thing I like to do so I'm not stressing out is batch recording. And I do that quite often. I'm a full-time student, I run a business, I'm a full-time creator, and I still make time to consistently show up for my audience. And I've been doing this for over 20 years. And so one of the tools that I use, which is in the chat, is repurpose.io. It's a really great tool that allows you to repurpose your content across platforms. And there's a lot of other things you can do within that app. It's really great. I have a lot of creators here on Clubhouse that used it, and they gained like over 500K subs on YouTube in like 3 months. So just learn how to use all these tools, but for the most part, scheduling out time to kind of like batch record, come up with content ideas. You just got to make time for things and create a content calendar. I would suggest that's where you can start.
There you go. Thank you, Dr. Fashion. You know, you got me thinking about something, and even Celeste too. You both got me thinking about something, especially when Prats asked this question. And thank you for the question, Prats, too, because you said, what did you say? Yeah, you said TikTok is banned in India for you. So it's like, okay, what options do I have now? It's kind of like an elimination series now. You know, some places it might, like I know in Dubai, you can't use WhatsApp, you know? So it's like, how do you navigate if you want to have a WhatsApp business account? If you need that, you know, other countries may use that and you can't. Some countries may not be able to use TikTok Shop because they don't have it, you know, eligible in the country. Like Pinterest, same thing. So all these platforms are they're very hard to flow in a way that makes you feel like, okay, let me use this way and this is the only way. Because what could happen? Let's say TikTok was not in the US, what would have happened? You know, we experienced it for a couple of hours, people were going crazy, it made the news. So imagine what that could mean for people who are using that on a daily basis. Some people use Threads and do amazingly well on Threads. Threads is an untapped platform. If you've never tried it, try it out. That one I can tell you from now to the rooftops. So think about Meta, right? Meta has Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp, Threads. If I'm missing any, please let me know. And of course, with the Oculus and all that good stuff that they have, you're building an ecosystem around it. So by the time you're creating content, like you said, Dr. Fashion with repurpose.io, then you're building a system that allows people to find you. So if you create one content that's 30 minutes long and you repurpose the best 10 seconds of each, somebody has only 30 seconds in their day to go online and search for something out of the hour that they have available to do work. So how are you going to factor in their 10 minutes into your schedule? So it's a really tactical format, and that's where the search comes in. That's where activity comes in, and that's where you're able to think about volume. Now, when I said volume, I wanted to ask you this, Dr. Fashion. When it comes to volume, because I was looking at repurpose.io, they're talking about 5,000 published videos per month. So, you know, and others are unlimited. So are we talking about volume when it comes to engagement because you don't know which one's going to hit? Or are we talking about quality over time?
Quality is definitely key. I don't believe anybody needs to upload thousands of videos a year or even in a month to get the results that they want. I am proof of that, actually. I did it in real time here on this app where I show people, like, if you put out quality content and do your research prior to recording, you can grow a lot quicker as opposed to somebody who's putting out like 10 videos a day. So I only did 30 videos for a day. I did it in real time here on this app, 30 pieces of quality content. And then I grew to over 1 million plus subscribers in that 30 days. So I would say quality over quantity.
I love that. Celeste, what about you?
You know, I want to say I have an answer for this, but TikTok really messed that up. Let me tell you a quick story. So I was like, oh, let me try TikTok because I want y'all to know how, like, I feel old by saying this. So my daughter's 17. Do y'all remember when TikTok used to be Musically? And
Yeah,
my daughter used to be
2016.
on that shit 24/7. I'm like, what is going on? Now it's TikTok and all these grown people. It just confused me. But anyhow, I was like, you know what? And my daughter's like, Mom, you need to be on TikTok. I'm like, okay, girl. So I made a TikTok and I was, listening to different TikTok creators. Like, this is what you need to do. So they're like, oh, you need to post every day. So I'm posting literally every day, y'all, for like 2 months straight. Barely anything. Like, I think at the time I had like 56 followers. And I'm thinking it's quality content. Keep in mind, y'all, my day-to-day, I face paint, okay? So I have a face painting business, but we also offer other entertainment services for corporate events. So I'm posting all these cool videos. I'm putting my TikTok in the thing. Nothing, okay? Now listen, I kid you not. In the last 2 weeks, I haven't posted a thing. And my notifications has been going crazy. Like it's so strange. I'm like, what is going on? Like, and maybe it was just me building up the algorithm. I don't freaking know. But I've gotten more like followers and stuff than when I was posting consistently every single day. So I don't know. I don't know what the answer is. I'd say this all the time, even when I teach. I have a group that I coach. Social media is the least like thing that I'm knowledgeable about. I don't really I don't use social media to market, honestly. Like my claim to fame is all about Google organic ranking. So my opinion is very low level here. So I'll just land the plane there.
It's not low level, Celeste. It's actually very interesting, if I can say it that way, because you said something that makes a lot of sense when you look at the keywords and the timing. Like even Dr. Fashion talked about it earlier, by creating content specifically to suit a need, to fill a need, to satisfy a need. And when that need is fulfilled, then it's going to be easier for someone to access that information if they're looking for that, specifically in real time. Because in January, people are definitely looking for gym subscriptions for New Year deals or whatever you can call it, right? People are looking for ways to get better, healthy eating habits, things that you want to eat better because people want to change. So it just depends on how you see yourself and where you want to be. That's going to create that intention for you long term. Now, if you PTR, you're going to see a graph that I've just put on my profile. I want you all to just look at it. It's a graph. I just took a screenshot. Today is January 6th. What you see there, you're going to see a top 3, top 10, top 50, top 100. And what you're looking at is my podcast. Now, I'll give you the stats for 3 months prior because I won't, put it on 2 different screenshots. I just want you to focus on one. So if you're looking at those screenshots, by October 13th, the podcast had top 3, 85 keywords were in the top 3. In the top 10, there were 91 keywords in the top 10. Think about this. We have over 600 episodes, right? So if you think about one keyword could come from one episode. It could come from one link. It could come from one description. It could come from one title. So it's not one-to-one. It's one-to-many. So just think about it like that. So in the top 3, there were 85 keywords. Top 10, 91 keywords. Top 50, 469 keywords. And in the top 100, 238 keywords. As of today, top 3 has moved from 85 keywords to 198 keywords. Top 10 has moved from 91 keywords to 245 keywords. Top 50 has moved from 469 keywords to 1,196 keywords. And top 100 has moved from 238 keywords to 627 keywords. So what you're looking at are words that have been said, that have turned into transcripts, that have been encoded into content, that have been transcribed into data. So if somebody online is searching for tips on this or tips on that, it's going to show. Like I got a notification that if you're looking for Pinterest marketing on cloud, my podcast will show up as a result for topics related to Pinterest marketing. I didn't submit a paper to cloud to say, hey, submit this there. No, it was earned data. It was earned media. It was earned feedback, because you're organically planting into the seed of the ground where it's fertile, where people can just plant away, create content. But if you're placing it in a position that someone can see, then someone's going to listen to your show. And the more you keep talking about the same thing over and over and over again, the more it gets better and it gets more refined. It's not like I was doing less or more. It's just that I decided, let me be more specific to see what do people actually want to hear. So I took those keywords that were on the side when you see October, and I planted those keywords back. It's kind of like making money and putting it back into the system, right? You make your money, you make your profit, you keep your principal, you put your profit, you make your dividends, you keep building like that. So that if one word becomes 2, 2 becomes 4, 4 becomes 8, 8 becomes 16, 16 becomes 32, 32 becomes 64, 64, it keeps building. So by the time you know it, you're creating a compound interest of keywords that's not just focused on, hey, I got a business. Hey, I got a podcast. Hey, I got a show. Subscribe. No one's literally trying to subscribe. They only subscribe because they like what you already talked about before you said subscribe. Subscribe is just the emphasis to make sure that the action is done. But the thought behind it being a reality is happening before it even becomes a question or a request. So I'm just showing you the stats so you can see how the podcast itself has taken. That's why I'm saying 3 months. When I started that, case study of A and B, I wanted to just give you a live response. So you can see between October and January, you can show up in different results. My podcast now is in the top 20,000 podcast shows out of 4 million. By this time last year, I think I was in the top probably 100,000 or so. So it's going to grow. So by this time next year, it's going to jump from top 20,000 to God knows top what number. It just keeps growing. So the goal is to just focus on the people who are coming, solve their problem first, patient by patient, right? And that takes patience as well, right? You have to understand, you have to read, you have to learn, you have to grow, you have to scale, you have to do the work. You can't just sit down and say, oh, it's just going to grow by itself. No. But because you planted the work and you planted it forward and you paid it forward, then it's going to germinate eventually, because someone somewhere in the world is looking for this information. And that's how they can now connect with you. So that's what I wanted to bring to you when it comes to the architectural setup of the site as well. Celeste, Dr. Fashion, would you like to say anything? Any questions, any thoughts, anything that comes to your mind before we go to the second SEO fix?
Oh, I think we're good.
Okay. So let me say it this way. The second SEO fix that I want us to look at, which is important for every small business owner in 2026, are your links. I'm actually going to bridge this together because we have broken links, we have backlinks, we have URLs, which are Uniform Resource Library links. I can put them in the same category. These are all links, web links. Let me just use the word web links because they're clickable. Links are going to be the second most important thing for you to fix. Why? Because your links are technically the pathways to your website. Just like nerves, like the nervous system, right? They're pathways to the system, right? If your brain is reacting to something, it's because of a reaction from something. So if your website has links, the more links it has, the more depth it carries, right? If you have 100 links, that means you technically have 100 videos, or you technically have 100 blogs, or you technically have 100 podcasts, or 100 reels, or 100 something, because that one unit doesn't stay as a unit, it multiplies. Just like Dr. Fashion was saying earlier, you have one video, I've said 5 points in, let's say 30 seconds. That 5 points I've heard in 30 seconds can be read in a 2-minute read. because now there's something for me to look at, plus the 30 seconds. So that's 2 minutes, 30 seconds on top of the 30 seconds I spent, plus the 2 minutes I invested into writing or summarizing. So when you're creating that compound effect, you're adding a video, you're adding an audio, you're adding a case study, you're adding an infographic, you're adding a table, you're adding an FAQ. Those things are in itself compounding. And then when you now put them all together in one, it's in form of a link. If I send you a link, that link is going to take you to a specific location. So an SEO fix for every small business owner is identify what products you want to sell. Identify what services you want to sell. If it's a product, let's say you're selling cookies, do you have the word cookies inside your URL? In other words, if your business is cookie.com, no, let's use something else. If your website is velvet.com, right? And let's say you sell cookies, but you specialize in red velvet. Velvet could mean anything. Velvet material, it could mean velvet, anything, right? Now, if you do velvet.com / this is a hypothetical example, but you use the case study and replace it with your business. velvet.com / red-velvet-cookies. velvet.com / cookie-cream-cookies. I hope I'm not making you guys hungry. So that's just looking at me like, okay. The more you keep doing that, cookies. I have 10 links. By the time I'm done talking about all the types of cookie flavors we have, now these are all independent links that can stand on their own. Now I have the power of 10. In other words, if somebody's looking for red velvet cookies or cookie and cream cookies or banana cookies or whatever type of cookies that they like, whatever flavor that they like, it may sound like, oh, that sounds weird, strawberry cookies. It could be anything, strawberry cake. The moment the root word is attached to the supplementary word, and the root word here is cookies, the supplementary word is red velvet or cookies and cream, that's what somebody likes to have. So if they like cookies and cream, they're only going to get results on Google or ChatGPT or Siri or any other search browser with those results. And if you have a blog attached, and we talked about site architecture before, and you have a recipe or you have a guide or you have a video or you're showing them locations or places they can visit in person, how many miles it is from the central location, and you're giving them that data, that site architecture plus your links is going to give you backlinks eventually, because people are going to look online and say, well, what are the best places to find this or that? And they cite you. When they cite your website, it gets a signal. And that signal is a big signal, because that signal is going to sound like this. When that happens, the algorithms update, and then all of a sudden you have a higher relevant score because you have a more recent topic to display. Just like with Netflix, for example. If there's a new movie on Netflix that you want to watch, that's the first thing you're going to see as soon as you hear da-da, and then you now get into your screen and everything, you choose your profile and you see the first thing, you're going to see the latest movie or what's available or what's happening. That's the most recent update you're going to get. That's the same thing that's going to happen to ChatGPT, to YouTube, right? You may get something that may not be recent, but it's popular to the recency of the topic. In other words, if you're going to get a result that's going to be as close as what you're looking for, it's going to be based on the attention span of that video or that audio or that text that's going to give you the maximum capacity to enjoy that experience in the first place. So when you have the right links as a small business owner and you're putting those words into your URL, that's the starting point. Because some people may say, okay, let's just do that and spam it. No, it doesn't work that way, because there are millions of websites, billions of websites that do the same thing. So what sets you apart? That's a major difference. So when you now have your site architecture, you have all the things in place, you have your links are accurate. Don't use any stop words. Stop words are like for, the, these are words you don't want to have as well. Even conjunction words, you don't want to have them there because, and I'll say it twice for emphasis, when you use those words in your URLs, you're fluffing the system. If I'm going to be looking for red velvet cookies to buy, if your URL has everything but the red velvet cookies in the text and it's still leading to the same context, you've missed the map from the beginning, because the algorithm is creating a library of content that's going to say, okay, there are 10 websites that talk about this. ChatGPT is going to cite from 40 sources. All these sources have the same URL. Cookies, 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 cookies. At least 80% of them do. Some of them they may not have, but a large percent of them would. And if they do, it's going to be in context. Even if it's not, it's probably related to. And when you do that, it's going to allow your website to become part of that ecosystem. So what am I bringing? The long and short of what I'm saying is that for you to be relevant in 2026 as a small business, you have to start thinking about creating links. And put it this way, this is going to make it easy for you. For every social media post you make online, match it up to one link on your website. You know how you can say, hey, I'm going to match you? Okay, I'm going to put 1,000 down. You're going to match me with 1,000. That's 2,000, right? Match it that way with yourself, with your business, with your online, with your social currency. So if I have one reel that has gone out on TikTok, or one reel that has gone out on YouTube, or one reel that has gone out on Instagram or Pinterest, I should have an article supporting that reel. Because what you're doing is that it's going to be Instagram 1, you 0. Why? Because Instagram has information that people are coming to you for, but you don't own Instagram.com, so you can't control that quality, or you can't even have quality control, because yeah, of course you control the content of the quality you produce, but the actual quality of the measurement on how you can scale that quality is obsolete. It's probably inexistent because it's not even there to begin with, just because you don't have a website to support it. So if you have an Instagram account and you put a reel there, make sure that reel is also on your website, because when you have one blog link equals to one Instagram link, you have two. Two is better than one, right? When you now do that, you go to Google and somebody's going to search for something. You have an Instagram result in the listing, and you also have your website result in the listing. That's 2 out of 10. So you've taken 20% of the full cake of the listing just because you were focused on this specific key term. Go to a website called serpapi.com, SERPAPI.com. That's what I usually do when I have audits with clients and prospects. I'll show them, hey, you live in this city, you live in this country, this is what people are seeing. If I was to teleport to your state, to your zip code, this is what I'll be seeing on my phone, on my tablet. So I'm showing you in real time, and then I'll be like, hey, check your own phone and see if you see the same results I'm showing you on screen. And you will see the same thing because it's an API. It's not rocket science, it's real time. So if you want to be part of that real-time results, then there are things you have to input into the real-time data. And that requires time. That's why I was saying 3 to 6 months is good for an established business. 6 to 12 months is good for a growing business. Because every blog post you post out there that is quality has 24 months worth of bandwidth, because that's the life cycle of a post. An Instagram reel has a lifespan of about 19 hours, 72 hours, give or take. So 5 weeks from now, you may never see that reel again unless you go specifically to it. But if that reel was talking about social media trends for 2026, and you go to Google and type that, and you have an article to support that with your Instagram reel attached, that's where you're going to be winning, because people will now find you, follow you on Instagram, follow you on your website, subscribe to your connections, find you on LinkedIn. Something's going to happen that you would have created a cause and effect rather than just a post because you want instant gratification. So everybody has their own way of doing things, but I'm telling you what has worked for me. And I'd love to hear from you, Celeste or Dr. Fashion. What has worked for you in 2025? And what are you going to focus on in 2026?
So I wanted to first comment that, okay, if you were in the room and you just heard that tip that Favour gave on links, you owe him some money. you owe him some money because that is such a huge SEO strategy. I will tell you right now that I charge people money to tell them that information. So, Favour, you're going to be blessed this year for sharing that for free in this room. And actually, I used to work for an SEO agency as a consultant, and they would charge people, I mean, on the low end, like $1,000, on the high end like $20,000, $30,000. And if you have a service-based business, they do the exact same thing. He kind of gave an example of like cookies, which is a product-based business. But if you were a service-based business, they did this exact same strategy, but just customize URLs for locations. Okay, it's called location pages. They literally just formulate the page, but they customize that URL, that link, to fit the exact location combined with the keywords that they wanted to rank for. And it works like crazy, crazy good. I love that you shared that. And to answer your question, about focusing on things, I'm going to keep it on SEO. I actually discovered that. So I have a website for my service-based business, but I kind of started a little side business that's somewhat related, but it's not like focused on local, it's focused on global. And I added those pages to my website and it's hurting my local SEO. So I was like, damn, so this year I'm focusing on streamlining I'm actually going to start a whole new website for the little external little project because I'm like, oh, it's kind of similar, but because overloading your website with too many unrelated things can also hurt your SEO. So I had to learn that the hard way. So that's what I'm focusing on. So kind of two different subjects, but again, I want to circle back to that link thing. Do not overlook that if you are not using that strategy. I'm telling you right now that people are spending thousands and thousands of dollars doing exactly what he just told y'all to do, okay? And another thing is if you have a website and you're not customizing those links, guess what? Your website host automatically customizes those for you. So they're already there and it's probably not something that's SEO friendly. And you can go on your website and change these things. Like it takes you maybe 1 minute if you don't know where it is, just to find it and change it. So there you go. Okay, over to you, Dr. Fashion. She might be busy, Favour.
Yeah, she might be busy. You see? Yeah, she said it earlier, so for sure. But thank you for being here.
Definitely circle back if you can. I want to know how it went.
Yeah, and 100%, I would say this now in 2026, CES 2027, God willing, I will be there. I was there before and I'm going to be there again. I was planning to be there, but I was like, man, I gotta make this happen. So nothing's going to stop that. So just want to let you know so that if anybody is planning to come to CES, yeah, in Vegas, it's definitely a sight to see for sure. Okay, so.
Oh, sorry, I didn't realize I was off mute. Sorry.
And I was waiting for you. Okay, no worries. So you said something that, I want to just piggyback on again. The links part. The reason why I said this is because this is what I'm doing. I want to be just transparent with you because there are two things that can happen. It's either you, and this is why I say it, and I was about to say John's name and John just pulled up. And we talked about this not too long ago. I talk about these things and I give information overload to the point where people listen and they're like, wow, okay. But guess what? How many of you are actually going to do it? How many of you are actually going to do it? Not many. So the ones who do it are the ones who are serious. That already creates a filter for me. I'm like, okay, you're serious. You need to get this done. You're not joking around with your time nor money. And I'm not going to waste either or those for you. And it's not on my watch. So I'm going to make sure that whatever we're going to plan is going to be ahead of time. And we usually focus on specific keywords that are based on search volumes, not just search volumes, but market caps. So there are specific things that you need to do. It's not just printing words there. You're supposed to know, okay, here's a total location, here's a total population, here's a total. There's so many things to factor in mathematically. But yes, it is a strategy to apply. But when you start to do it specifically to target the people that you're connecting with, It's a game changer. It's a game changer. I was talking to a, a client earlier today, and specifically what really made sense and why I say a client is because she referred me to somebody who we're working with currently, and that referral was beautiful. I didn't ask for it. It just happened naturally. She literally created a group chat, and she just said, hey, I think it's somebody you need, and they're best friends. So I was like, wow, you didn't have to. I thank you so much, because I was not trying to make a sale or try to make any type. I was trying to just have a conversation. And she's like, you would be helpful to my friend. And that's how it happened. So I met her today for the first time on Zoom. I met her friend before I met her. So why I'm saying this, just to give you some context, is she's into real estate and she does really well in her business, right? And I told her, okay, where do you want to focus on? Because real estate is very local based. It's very specific based. And I went to the same platform and I said, hey, this is exactly how many people, there are about 1 million people that live in her area in New York. And I was like, hey, this is a location. This is what's happening. Do you know any of these competitors? She's like, yeah, I know this person. I was like, okay, this person has been in business for 25 years. I literally scanned through and I was like, if this is what somebody else was doing instead of us doing, and they're scanning your website, that's the result that you want to see. What we're doing for somebody else is what you want someone else to do for you. So I gave her that mirror effect so she can see. And she's like, yeah, I'm going to think about it and get back to you, because those are some things that when you're able to see for yourself, it's easier to know exactly who your competition is on site than you guessing. Because she's like, oh, I'm going to spend money on PPC ads. I was like, please don't spend money on any paid ads if you don't have any organic presence, because the last thing you want to do is spend money that you can't track. How are you going to track that without a pixel, without a website, without data? It's hard. And sometimes people want to do what they want to do, and it's fine. But I think the more you know better, the better you do in life. I think it's just a life rule. So it just saves you money at the end of the day. Like, save your money, just wait for the right time. And then you're able to now use research and development to plan ahead so that you have more time to work with. So the links part is great, because somebody will do it or not do it. But if they do it and they do it wrong, then that's where we come in. If they do it right, then we can scale it, because there's always room for scaling. And that's what we're doing now. There are clients I'm looking at, prospects I'm looking at, companies I'm looking at, and I'm like, hey, here's a report of your website. This is what's going on. We had a big win, just to give you hey, Valerie, Queen Valerie, thank you for being here. We had a client, just a big win recently, just to give you an example of how it works with businesses, just to tell you how important these links are. I talked about canonical names initially. Now I'm going to bring it back so that you can hear what I mean when it comes to links, because everything we're talking about is interlinked. There's a client that we're working with, and it's been a big challenge, which I've been excited about because I love challenges. And this client, they have over 20 million pages, approximately 30 million pages, right? So it's not just little pages. These are pages that have been there, and they've been in business for decades, right? At least 40 years, right? So they come to us, and I got to meet the person off of a podcast. He came to my podcast, we talked. He was like, hey, what do you do? I told him, and that's how I was like, hey, introduce me to your team. So now I talked to about 7 people on their team. They do so many different things. So I'm literally consulting and, doing consulting with them. And they said, hey, if you fix this problem, we're going to double your offer. I said, bet. Challenge accepted. Guess what? Today is what? January 6th. As of January 3rd, between January 3rd and January 5th, I submitted some applications, within the Google Search Console, because what we're doing right now is let me just paint the picture. They had a problem. The problem is they've been talking to different companies trying to fix one problem. And the problem is they have so many pages on their website, but they can't fix it. They can't get it to sign up with Google. Google cannot recognize their pages. So they're like, how does Google recognize all these millions of pages bunch by bunch? Because they have image sitemaps, they have video sitemaps, they have blog sitemaps, they have category sitemaps. There's so many sitemaps in there that it's not just a one-way street. So it's kind of like a Rubik's Cube that we had to solve. I said, give me 30 days. Let's focus on this. The first 30 days, we had a failed error. I was like, I'm not going to give up. The second month, which is this month, because we're going to our third month, and this is an established website. an established business. This business is operating in millions, right? And I said, hey, let's focus on the problem. What is the root problem of this? I was like, okay, here are your direct competitors and here are your indirect competitors. So we had a call and we talked about everything, and they were like, yeah, you're right, this and this. I was like, out of these competitors, who is your actual direct competitor? Because you can have a direct competitor, but you're within different verticals of a business, right? So it has to be directly proportional. And I said, out of these options, which one is the one that you're referring to? And to my surprise, they mentioned the one that was least expected to me. So I said, okay, now I know the ones that you guys are closest to when it comes to market positioning. I'm not looking at the big, and there's some companies that are being acquired by other companies that I didn't know. So it's going to be a whole monopoly. So I got some insight that was a scoop that I didn't know, which allows me to be more tactical with how we're going to help the business scale, because they're in competition, but it's healthy competition. So I said, okay, we're going to make sure that these sites are scanned in a way that actually helps businesses grow. And then the next step I now decided to take was, let's look at all these links and find out if there are any warning signs or error signs. We got very technical. Now, while I'm giving you this SEO fixes case study from a large business, 30,000 viewpoint, now down to a small business, is that it's going to apply, because whether it's big, mid-size, or small, it's going to have the same technical foundation, right? It's just that one has a larger volume than the other, but the system is the same. So what we did is we made sure that all those links were first indexed or reported automatically, right? And now when you now do those things, it allows you to have a much better understanding of where to take those next steps. Of course, anybody can do it, but it now takes you to understand which out of these pages are working. So there were about 100,000 pages that we had to test first out of about 4 million pages, which were already like in the goo. So we said, okay, we're going to take 100,000 first and see how many of these pages we can successfully go through. So lo and behold, yesterday, if you use Google Search Console, you're going to get emails. We got like about 4, 5, 6 emails that was saying, hey, Google was just saying successfully validated, successfully validated, successfully validated. It was like a full thing. I didn't even want to talk about it in the meeting, because I was like, you guys have already seen the results. Let's just focus on getting to the finish line, right? It's an achievement. Yeah, you can get excited, but I was like, no, I want to make sure this thing is done fully. So we didn't even have that discussion in the call, which just told me they can see it happening, and what's seen doesn't have to be explained, if that makes sense. So I said, we just have to wait for some time, and let's keep it going, and let's keep it pushing to the point where we're able to now get all these pages to actually work. So the good news is, in the second month, we have over 100,000 pages that have been disinfected, right? Because they were affected by some crawlings and budgets that were not able to really scan through properly. And we've cleaned that up technically. So that has already boosted their traffic. It's kind of like your car. If you change your oil in your car, if you do some performance, I'll call it maintenance with your car, it's going to make your car drive smoother, drive faster, drive longer, right? Have a more efficient response, right? Whether it's hybrid, gas, or electric. So when you now create that same experience for your website, it's what we've just done for this client. And now they're off to the races, which means if we could do it for this set of 100,000, we can do it for the next 100,000. We can now scale it from 100,000 to 1 million. And then break it down 1 million, 2 million, and then that way we're able to complete that. So I know within 6 months, we'll be able to break down all those walls, because we've been able to break it down in the first 2 months. So kind of like breaking it into 3/3, like the first third, 2/3, and 3/3, right? So if you're able to do that in 3 months, and each 2 months you're able to cycle them through, it's a faster way to do it. So links are very important, because these are the very links that we couldn't get through just because and we're still working on something very specific. But because of these things that are happening technically, and I can't mention them all, that's the reason why we're getting these wins. And that's why it's something that is a challenge, which is exciting, because when you see these things and you know how to decipher or demystify or just create an atmosphere that makes the client feel safe, it's a better feeling. Because sometimes when you scale a business, you don't know what to do. You need advisors, you need people to help you manage things, which is great, right? But at the same time, you don't want to crack. So that's why I always look at these things and I'm like, hey, I want to tell you guys these things because I don't always have a chance to say them. But when I do have a chance to mention them, at least I've said it. So if you ever come across it and hear it, it's good for you to know. So that way you're able to know yourself, okay, maybe I might be in this situation, or if I'm never in this situation, how do I avoid being in this situation? So sometimes people build websites and then we have to come and fix it. Or sometimes we can fix the problem or even identify the problem before we even scale the business. So it can happen in either way, but it's very important to think about these links. So if you have any questions, please put it in the chat or interrupt me, because I'd love to answer your questions. So that's number 2. Does anybody have any questions for number 2 before we go to number 3? We got 3, 4, and 5 to go. Okay, so number 3. Speed. This is the third critical SEO fix that every small business needs to know in 2026. Speed. Your website needs to be on a fast website hosting platform, right? And speed is going to have 2 factors. It's going to have internal factors and external factors. And you can use a website called GTmetrix with an X.com. I'll put the link in the chat. Boom, got it. Thank God for Apple. Just copy, paste, clipboard, Mac, boom. All right, we're in the chat. All right, so here's the link, gtmetrics.com. Now, if you've never heard of that website, check it out, put your website, and then see what score you get. Now, when it comes to speed, right, your website needs to load fast. If your website takes a longer time to load, let's say even if it's 2 seconds longer, 1, 2, those milliseconds in between are very crucial, because if 100 people, 1,000 people are trying to open your website at the same time and the bandwidth is not allowing them to open it because it's a slow turn, it's going to be hard for you to scale that because people can't even access your content to begin with. And why is it an internal and external factor? Because internally, you may have images on your website or videos you have uploaded on your website that carry a lot of space. So if your bandwidth is 100 gigabytes, but you're using your space about 90 gigabytes instead of 1% of 100 gigabytes or 10% of 100 gigabytes, then you start overloading the system, and that also creates room for delay in loading time. Because when you think about the internet, there's upload time and there's download time, right? There's an upload speed, there's a download speed. Right? Whenever you load a website, it shows. When you go to google.com, bop, you're right there. I don't think you've ever waited for Google to load for 3 seconds to end up on their website. It's quite impossible for that to happen because speed is important. Amazon.com, another example, very fast websites. You click here, you're not wasting a second. It's quick. It's on the go. So as a small business, think about speed too, right? And how do you optimize for speed? Think about your hosting platform, right? It's very important. Even your CDN. Your CDN stands for your Content Delivery Network. I'll say that again. Your Content Delivery Network, a CDN, right? Just like you have a driver's license, a DL to drive, in the same way you need that for your website, a CDN, a Content Delivery Network, right? It's very important because these networks are connecting your website to the algorithm, to the search engines, to the bots, to the people, to everywhere on the internet that you want to have access to. So if you're telling someone to access your website and you don't have the infrastructure to control or scale the capacity, then it's going to be hard for you to manage the capacity that you have to begin with, because eventually you may be over capacity and then you may have to start driving things off, which is not a healthy way of scaling. So when you look at your business long term, speed is of the importance. So use a website like Hostinger. Yeah, HOSTINGER.com. Get yourself a hosting platform there, right? People go to GoDaddy, there's SiteGround, there's Bluehost, there's Namecheap. There are many out there you can get, right? These are .com websites that you can get. But when you're getting these platforms too, also keep in mind what you're buying, because sometimes you're just buying a package because it's basic, or because it's just cheap, or it's maybe because it has a label on it or it has a discount on it. Don't believe the hype. For me, I look at the technical before the price, because that technical is going to save me money and time and energy. And if you want to save your time, money, and energy in 2026, protect first. Protection first. Safety first, right? Prevention is better than cure. So when you now have a website that you are building, create a website that has speed. You can go to a website called compressor.io. C-O-M-P-E-R. Sorry, I'll say it again. COMPRESSOR.io. Compressor.io. That's another website that you can go to. And I'll put that in the chat. You can go to this website, and if you have any image that is under 10 megabytes, you can use it. Boom, there it is. So you can export it as a lossy format. And then if a picture, let's say, is 1 megabyte, and you use this and you save 70% of storage per image, especially let's say you have a product and you have left, right, or you have different colors or different variations, you do e-commerce, whatever it is that you do, these are the things that I'm telling you for free. And why am I doing this? Because I know God's going to bless me one way or the other. Someone's going to hear this. Someone's going to say something. It's going to happen. For me, I don't worry about, oh, is this too much information? Is this too little information? When you know it, you know it. If you don't know it, that's fine. For me, I value connections. I value relationships, and I value value. So if I'm leading with value, I want someone to know that, okay, I learned this and I was able to take this to the next step. And because I can't help everybody, we're 8 billion people in this world. So if I can help you, great. But if you can help yourself first, even better. So when I help you, we're helping each other grow. And because we're moving at a scalable capacity. So it's not about, what are we doing today? It's about how are we getting to the next step at a larger scale. So that's why I do this wholeheartedly as well. So when you create this content, make sure that your content is out there for people to see, right? Make sure it's compressed, because that speed is going to be very important. If you have a C grade, a B grade, an A grade, an A plus grade, that's great. Try to stay between the B and above. C is kind of like midpoint, but you want to have a great piece of content that can help you. If you need a website built, reach out to me. Go to playinc.online, or just go to Favour, F-A-V-O-U-R @PLAYINC.online. I'll also put my email in the chat so that you can reach out to me if you have any questions, because I want to make sure that you have access to information that's very resourceful. Because at this point, there's no excuse for you in 2026. It's either you do it, or somebody else does it for you, or your competitor does it and you just watch. So it's really up to you to decide on what you want to do. So that's what I wanted to bring to you on those points. I've mentioned 3: site architecture. I've mentioned links, right? I've talked about links when it comes to backlinks or broken links or duplicate links, web links. That's important. Speed is very important. That's number 3. Number 4 is this. One critical SEO fix that you have to do as a small business, and we touched on it a little bit. Celeste kind of did a little, tiptoe around it. So I want to bring it back. Locations is important for you as a small business. And I'm going to go not just location, but zip codes, longitudes and latitudes. I'm going deep. So I want you to follow me. Don't lose me. I don't want to lose you either. Locations are very important for SEO. Why? Because when somebody is searching on the internet, their locations are turned on. That's a fact. So if it's turned on, then whichever coordinates you're located in, by IP address, by zip code, by longitude, by latitude, you're going to be in a specific zone that's going to get access to a specific data center, right? If you're in a different country, you're going to get a different search engine, right? Compared to if you're in the UK, it's .co.uk, right? You're not going to get a .co.uk in the US unless you technically go there and type it in manually to get the results, but that's neither here nor there. You're going to organically just go to Google and type in google.com, and that happens. Or just type in Google and it will autofill for you. So wherever you are in the world, it's going to base it off of that data center. So location is going to be important. Why am I saying this and emphasizing this? When you have a website, because this cannot be done without a website. None of these points can be done without a website, by the way. So if you don't have a website, this is not going to apply. If you have a website, this is 100% applicable. When you have a content delivery network system that is able to give that speed, right? Now, the next thing that you're creating out of this speed is to allow your business to now have a location that is very focus based. If you go to a mall, right? And you go to a specific mall wherever you are in the world, if you go to their website, you're going to see their address at the bottom. If you're going to a company, you're going to see either their headquarters or their main offices or their sub-locations or their corporate offices. You're going to see something, right? If it's a service business, you might just see the city or the state. That's still fine, right? Or we serve the DMV area, or we serve the Bay Area. Whatever you're going to see is going to be location based. I'm emphasizing this twice because you want to make sure that you're not missing the mark. Why is this so important? Because when you have these links, like a Google Maps link or an Apple Maps link or a Waze link, and these links are living on your website, that puts your website in position because you're linking to another website. Kind of like saying you're creating a backlink for the third party. So you're creating a backlink for Google Maps because you have a Google Maps link on your website. Now, that Google Maps link is telling whoever is going to scan on Google Search Console that, hey, I live in Arizona and I have a business, I sell flowers, and here's my location. So here's my website because I've submitted it through Google Business Profile, which has my social media attached, which has my location connected. So everything is going to make sense because it's the same business that's across the platforms. So when you have that location, it allows you to now know that if anyone's living in Arizona that's looking for flowers for Valentine's or buy flowers for date, whatever you're going to get in that result, if you live in that area, because that person specifically put their business there on the web in form of a website that has the information that the link location is also within their web page, that's a win-win. Because now if I'm looking for that result, because I have it on Google Business Profile, if I want to check their website, the link is there. If I click on that link and I scroll down the page, I see the image is there and I see that the location is there too. I click on Apple Maps or Google Maps and I go to type in their location, it's there too. So now I'm actually going actively and I'm being proactive. Today is Tuesday. I love tacos, so I'm going to say Happy Taco Tuesday. I'm going to have some tacos later today, right? If you're going to do that, you're going to say tacos near me, right? You're going to look for some specific places to go to because that's what you like. Thank you, Valerie. So you create these things because you're nearby location. You're not going to go to a taco shop or a taco store that is 40 miles away when there's 1.4 miles close. So your goal is to focus on your location within a 5 to 20 mile radius and ask yourself, if I'm going to serve this location, do I have the right URLs? Do I have the right speed? Do I have the right site architecture to manage this type of information or volume that's going to come within my capacity to deliver? If it's not there, then there's something we have to reconfigure. But if it is, then that's a great tool for us to now take to the next level. So your goal as a business owner is to identify, who am I serving? Okay, I'm serving people. If it's international, great. If it's local, great. If it's regional, great. If it's local, great. But there needs to be a stamp that allows someone to know that this is where I need to focus on and build relationships with. So if someone's looking for Virginia social media marketing, or looking for Tampa real estate advisor, or looking for Idaho plumber, whatever it is that you're looking for, SEO agency, Arkansas, whatever that result can look like, there's going to be a result that's going to come out. And if that result is not you, it's definitely your competitor. So if you want it to be you, then your locations have to be in form of links and also supporting links and backlinks without broken links, without duplicated links. That's going to give your website that front-facing appeal. That's going to allow you to be aesthetically pleasing both to the algorithm and also to the consumer. So that's a fourth one that I want to mention on as well. Celeste, would you like to add on this when it comes to location? What would you say for businesses that are local compared to businesses that are not local?
So the funny thing is, I told you I did these website reviews recently, and I guess, okay, I'm not trying to now listen, if this is you in the audience, please don't be mad. Just remember, I don't know if anybody's ever been to a black church where they say like, oh, if this is about you, like, don't complain, just say ouch. That's what we're gonna do. I guess it's hard for me to understand how people can't comprehend, like, okay, if you are local and you're not just targeting your local area, then how are you going to get the business? Because at the end of the day, unless you're some kind of like in the not even 1%, like 0.001% of like this celebrity acclaimed, person in your field, no one's catching a flight to come and get what you got, right? If you're a hairstylist, your audience is right in your neighborhood, okay? It is not across the country. So if you are not focusing local as especially a service-based business. Now, products, sure, you can ship, all over the place. But even products, I would say like mastering your own backyard is a really great strategy before you try to like conquer the whole wide world, right? But especially, oh my gosh, I talk to so many service-based businesses and I'm like, what is going on? Why are you not, like, it's just like a no-brainer, okay? So that's pretty much all I have to say. That's my TED Talk. Okay, back to you, Favour.
No, I love it. It makes a lot of sense, Celeste. Yeah, you have to look at these things as a point of reference. Your location matters. Location matters. Location. I'm sure you've heard that somewhere before too. Location is so important. If you're serving a local area, a national area, a regional area, an international area, you have to be known. And the only way you can be known is by having your website there. You can depend on other websites to rank you or to feature you, but who are they going to feature you? Okay. Where are they going to feature you? On their website. Okay. Where are they going to link to? We don't want to hear that, because if they can't link to you, that's a problem. And let's say they link to you, but it's not your website. They link to your Instagram. They link to your LinkedIn. That's a happy link. That's a good link. That's a referral link. That's a thank you link. Yes, that's a yes link. But the problem is, or the little caveat is, if your website is not connected to theirs, they've just given Instagram juice and bypassed you as the product, which should not be. That's why I'm giving you this kind of like visualization to see the capacity and the density of what could happen if you don't do this way. It's going to be detrimental, because you're featured on a magazine, but every link is linking to your social media but your website. So every other website is gaining visibility about you, which is great, but you don't control that connection. You don't control that data. God forbid something doesn't work today or tomorrow, or one platform shuts down and they can't find you. It's hard enough as it is. So don't make it any harder. So if you don't have a website that somebody can link to, or a platform that somebody can say, hey, here's my information, sign up. Like, you can click the link above and sign up. You get emails, you get information, you get value. And it's not spam, it's quality. Because I take time to understand, okay, this is what you're looking for. Like, I know this year, from what I did last year with the polls, a lot of people want to learn about AI visibility. How do you show up, with AI? How do you show up on ChatGPT? How do you show up in these platforms? There are specific ways to do them. I got to talk to somebody yesterday all the way in Lithuania about AI on my podcast. So people are talking about these things, and I'm watching, I'm listening. and I'm just paying attention, and I'm like, okay, I'll say what I say my piece and let everyone do their research, because I'm doing mine too. But I don't want you to be behind what I'm researching, because I want to tell you what I'm doing. So when you're now researching, you can now think ahead, and that way we can think together and think alike. So it's very important to look at these things from different viewpoints, but also focus on giving people that quality. So location is so important. Now, the fifth SEO fix that is very important for every small business. This one is the most basic. That's why I kept this to be the last one, is integrations. Integrations, and I can add setup. Integrations and setup. That's the fifth one. Integrations and setup. What are we integrating? We're integrating search engines. Why are we integrating search engines? Because we want to make sure that our brand is also visible to the market. So these integrations sounds like this. Connecting your website to Google Search Console. You've heard me talk about this before. Connect your website to Google Search Console. I'll say this even in a better way. Connect your intellectual property to Google Search Console. When you connect your Google Search Console property, domain name, however you want to call it, into that console dashboard, the next thing you want to do is submit your sitemap. Submit your sitemap and let people, it's like submitting an application. Yeah, you see a job post, but have you applied for the job? Even if you want the job, you've not applied. You need to apply to be qualified, right? So using that same analogy, you have to be qualified by the Google search algorithm based on the content that you've delivered through your content delivery network, right? Through your CMS, your content management system. So if you use Wix, WordPress, Squarespace, it doesn't matter. What matters is the quality of information that you're producing and you're publishing. Because when you start repurposing, it's going to fall back to the plan. It's going to fall back to the blueprint. So creating a very structural map is very important for integration purposes. So integrate your website to Google Search Console. And how to do that is by copying and pasting a TXT record into your DNS, right? It's something that you'll see in step 3. It's very easy. It's free to do. Once you copy that, you get a green check mark once you verify your console, and you're in. Once you're in, you go to Google Search Console, check on the left side, you're going to see sitemaps. Your website has a sitemap. How do you find your sitemap? Your sitemap is potentially your domain.com/sitemap.xml, sitemap.xml. Some websites may be different. I know, like if you have Yoast SEO or just Yoast in general as a plugin, it's going to be sitemap_index.xml. Some websites that we've worked with, which are big websites that are like on Magento, that have large sites, they could have PUB. Thank you, Ziad. They have PUB, which is public, to stand for public when it comes to sitemaps. Some sitemaps are compressed, .xml, .gz. It starts getting very complex because we've dealt with sites small, medium, and large. So when I look at these things, I'm very aware that if you want your website to be seen on the map, you have to submit and qualify your sitemap. Because what's in your sitemap? Content. If you have 100 articles that we talked about, that one-to-one, yeah, that one-to-one is on your website. But if it's not being indexed or being submitted or being requested for or being ranked within, it's not going to be helpful to you because it's just going to be canvas, right? You want that canvas to turn into an asset. It's not just a painting. It's not just a picture. It's not just a post. It's information, it's value, it's intellectual property. So when you now submit your sitemap, you're technically saying, hey, Google, here's my information all about my author profile, which means when you have an article, there's an author attached to it, right? And if that author is you and you're the author of that content, and then that content is connected to your LinkedIn, connected to your YouTube, connected to your X, wherever you're connecting to, it's going to give you that context long term, right? Because you're creating content for people to see. LinkedIn, if you use LinkedIn, LinkedIn is technically Microsoft, right? Because LinkedIn is owned by Microsoft. Microsoft is also connected to Microsoft Bing, right? So there's Google Search Console, which used to be Google Webmaster Tools. And then there's also Bing Webmaster Tools, which is currently today's Microsoft Bing. It's still called Webmaster Tools too. And once you submit your Google first, you go to Bing and then you import. That's why I talked about integrations. You're importing your Google Search Console into Bing. So when you're on Perplexity, there's a Perplexity and ChatGPT browser. I know we talked about this some time back. So if you go to Perplexity and you go to their browser, Perplexity Comet, or you go to ChatGPT Atlas, right? Whichever one that you use as a browser, if you use, let's say, Perplexity Comet, right? And you're using the browser, they're going to reference and cite links from LinkedIn, right? Because they're all interconnected. So when you have all these links we've talked about, from the site architecture to the content itself that you're building with the links that you're creating, to now optimizing for speed, because you're also optimizing for mobile, you're optimizing for desktop, you're optimizing for tablet. Keep that in mind. You're optimizing for screen resolutions. Not everyone has an iPhone 17. Not everyone has an iPhone 16. Not everyone has a Samsung. Not everyone has a Nokia. Not everyone has an Android. Not everyone has an iOS. Some people use Linux. Some people use Chrome. Some people use Safari. Some people use Brave browser. Some people use DuckDuckGo. So you don't know. You're just going to have to figure out how to create your technical standpoint from the beginning, and don't worry about the other things, because those things are like, I'll say 20%. The bulk is where you want to be on. So when you now create these integrations on your website, you submit, you integrate, you import, you start submitting all these things. Even on Bing, you submit your sitemap on Bing. You don't just submit it on Google, submit it to Bing too. That's why even with podcasting, you submit your RSS feed. The more you submit and the more approvals you get, the more yeses you get, the more coverage you get. It's like distribution. If I distribute to 40 stores and you distribute to 40,000 stores, you have more leverage because you have more distribution networks. You have more submissions. You have more inventory. So it's very important to think about that long term as a business, so that when you're also thinking about it and asking yourself, hey, I don't want to get overwhelmed with all this content. Dr. Fashion said it earlier, one to many. We have 52 weeks in a year. If you do 1 minute a week, you'll be fine. This 2026, 1 minute a week. And if you spread that 1 minute across 5 to 7 days, because you can cover 1 point each, that's great, because you've covered one topic. Of course, you may need to do more than one, but if you have a cadence that is very consistent, eventually the algorithm will actually help you, will thank you, right? Because the more content you put out there, the better it is. Like TikTok, you post more content, that's the game of the content, volume, right? SEO, it's also volume, but also search volume. So you have to think about these keywords and these things that I'm saying, not because it's overwhelming, but eventually you're going to need some of this information to thrive. So think about these 5 points I've mentioned today so that they can actually help your business grow. Ryan says, do they not pick up the pages organically? What is they? Please let me know. I want to make sure I got the right one. And thanks for being here. It's been a while, Ryan. Great
I wonder
question.
if he's talking about Google, because in my brain I was going to bring up a point about Google Search Console. So remember when he was talking about the link? Oh, hi Ryan. Just give me 1 second. I'll pass it to you. When he was talking about the links, Favour was talking about the links, and I was like, ooh, y'all, give him some money for that. Same thing with Google Search Console, because when you connect your site to Google Search Console, especially as you're building new pages, adding new content, and when you submit that info over to Google Search Console and request indexing. So basically, once you add stuff, Google will naturally sometime in the future crawl your website. When that happens, no one knows, okay? There's no definite answer to that. I will say that when you go on Google Search Console and manually request that, it's like having a fast pass at Disney. You basically get bumped to the front of the line, the priority lane. I know this because I tested it out on a new page that I added to my website. Oh, it was a while ago, but I am not lying when I tell you. Now, this is going to vary by different factors like competition and all those other things, but that new page ranked on Google the next day. The literal next day. I was like, oh, wow. So I know for a fact that how much it speeds it up, I can't tell you, can't quantify that, but you do get priority crawling from Google when you manually go on Google Search Console and connect your site and request that crawl or submit your sitemap. So that's all I wanted to say. Hopefully. Oh, there we go, Ryan. Okay, we're right on the same page, brother, because as soon as Favour muted, I was like, ooh, I want to talk about this. So that worked out great. All right, I'll pass it back to you or maybe to Ryan. It looks like he wanted to speak.
No, how you guys doing? Favour, thank you, man. It's been a minute. I've missed these rooms.
Happy New Year, man. Yeah.
Yes, Happy New Year to you too. Yeah, no, Celeste basically just answered my question. I was just curious because as you were saying, I was thinking, does it not do it organically? But as she's just mentioned, you might be waiting an eternity for that to happen, and you can just fast track it by obviously just requesting index, which is something that I do. So when you were saying plugged in, I was thinking, is this something different than requesting? But obviously, she's just clarified it. I haven't done it with Bing, but I do it with Google Search Console.
Yeah, Bing is going to be a very, it's untapped, but it's a place that you can definitely get a lot of juice from, because once you're in those areas, it also adds value to your ecosystem online because you're submitting to a completely new search engine too. And just to give you some context, especially what Celeste said with requesting indexing, when you request indexing, you have a quota. There's a manual quota per day. They don't tell you this, but I had to kind of like do it in a way that got me to know the answer to the question. That's why when you test things, you got to test them to break them and then you see if it works or not. So I tested it out. This was some time back, and I got to find out that the maximum number of times you can request indexing manually on Google Search Console is 10 per day. You have 10 requests per day. So if you have 10 new articles that you publish, let's say you have a 24-hour clock, and for every hour or for every second hour in the hour, let's say every 2 hours, you've released 10 articles out of 24 hours, right? Now, if you request indexing and you keep doing that, by the time you want to do the 11th one, you're going to get a red notification bar. It will tell you your quota limit has exceeded. Right now, that happens manually, and it makes sense because it's a free platform. Google Search Console is free, so it just makes sense. And because it's free as well, don't think you guys, I'll say this now, because it's free, don't think that everything you're getting on Search Console is everything. I hope that was not a trick response. I hope you got it, because Google Search Console has way over 250 billion gigabytes. I probably think it's probably even worth more now, data. And when you look at the number of queries you get on your console, it's normally capped at 1,000. The number of pages you get is normally capped at 1,000. That's why I'm giving you guys these numbers so that you can see it for yourself if you've ever maxed out on those limits. So when you have 10 requests per day, that means you have 10 links to submit to Google per day. So if you have 70 links in a week and you've posted 10 times per day, that's 70 out of 52. Because technically, some people, welcome here and Brandy, some people technically post one article a week. So if people are posting 52 articles in 52 weeks and you've done way more than 52 in a week, now you have 70 articles out of 52. That's a way higher compound interest for you, because now you have a new website and that new website is gaining capacity to build momentum. It doesn't mean you're just going to spike on traffic. That's possible. But as far as quality and branding and specificity in search, you're going to be there, which is a good thing because it allows you to also become part of that ecosystem too. Now, there's something called automatic indexing, which is different. So what we just talked about is manual indexing. Now, when you focus on automatic indexing, this is where you want to now connect with people like me or people that you know that are professional in the works that they do for SEO. And then you get your website ranked. You get yourself put on the map where you have thousands and thousands of links. Because imagine you have 1,000 links. You're not going to spend time to post 10 links a day. If you have 1,000 links, that's not going to happen. Unless you have the time to do that, great. More power to you. But if you want to turn it into an automatic integration system, that's where things get a little technical, but they're very possible and workable to do. That's why right now we're ranking thousands and millions of pages on a 30-day cycle that are getting approved by Google because there's something called a crawl budget, right? Every website has a crawl budget. I won't go too deep into that today, but the higher your crawl budget, the higher the outcome of links that you're able to output per day, which makes sense. So it's very important to think about these things as a business. But if you have a small business and you listen to any of these points today, there are 5 of them that were very applicable. The first one is site architecture. The second one is links. The third one is speed, right? The fourth one is location. And the fifth one is integration. So out of the 5, put in the chat which one resonated the most with you. I'd love to see that. Please let me know. And we'd love to hear your feedback on this too. So this is the time I'd love to hear from everyone. So we'll start off with Ryan. What would your parting words be? Anything that you've learned, something that you want to take, even if it's a question, please feel free to ask. And we'd love to hear from you. And then Dr. Fashion, if she's available, because I'm sure she's still out, but if she is, please let us know. And then in the chat, and then Celeste as well. So Ryan, passing it to you.
Cool. So the thing that I've learned, which was good, which is it GX metrics that you said? GT metrics. So I'm playing around with that, and SERP.ai. I'm playing around with that right now as we speak. So thank you for sharing that. It's funny because I've recently just vibe coded a website with Lovable, and I just put into GT metrics to see what the speed results were. I usually use, is it website speed? You know, the Google one, to check the speed results.
Yeah, Lighthouse.
Yes, that's what I usually use. So I'm now testing it out now with this GT metrics, because I think that speed, exactly what you said, is massive, makes a big difference. And then the structure, which I've missed that bit, so I'm gonna have to listen to the replay when you spoke about the structure. But I believe you're referring to, is it the H1 tags and all that? Is that what you're referring to? When you
Yeah, a little bit of that and some more.
All right, cool. So I have to listen to the replay because I missed that bit. But that's also something that I've been working on recently on my sites. The structure in terms of the title tags. So no, it's been very informative, and we need this more often. Favour, man. I need to drop you some change, bruv, because you are dropping gems. So we appreciate you, man. Thank you.
Thank you, Ryan. Appreciate you. Yeah, anytime if y'all need anything, please reach out to me. Let's work. I'm ready to work. I'm ready to show you these things. I mean, right now, listening to this information is about 5% acquisition. Because when we leave this room, a bunch of the things I said, it probably went over your head, or you probably didn't, and now you have to think about what you want to focus on. And now it's going to get to the timing on and efficiency of what you want to create. So I know for a fact that it's going to take some time, but I'm happy that you have this available because time is of the essence. And if I can create time for you and you can create time for yourself to plan these things out, great. If you want to skip the line and let's talk about this offline and then go on Zoom and talk about this and make sure that we can have this structured for you as a business, please feel free to do so. Click the link above, and that will give you access to choosing the options that you want to hear from me the most, because there are different options. And then from there, once you submit and we make it official, you're now getting to my calendar, book a time with me. Let's talk on a day that you're available, and we'll make that match and make that happen within 30 minutes. We have a conversation. And before we even have that conversation, you'd have gotten an email from me, because I always send you an audit of your website. I like to show you what I'm about to tell you before I tell you, the time I'm supposed to say it. So it just helps me save time with you, and you also help make better decisions so that we're not wasting time in 2026. So I'm all about time saving and time compounding. So I hope that this helped you a lot. So thank you so much for that, Ryan. It's called serpapi.com. I put the link in the chat so that it just makes sure you guys have that too. But Thank you for that feedback as well on GT Metrics as well. Dr. Fashion, I'm sure she's probably there by now. So if she's available, she'll let us know. I'll pass it to you, Celeste.
Yay. Well, thank you. I want to say, first of all, Favor. So, thank you so much for continuing to host these rooms. I know the numbers aren't what they used to be like in 2020, but we are a small but mighty, little army up in here. And these rooms really help me just keep up like the energy and the motivation to do the things that I need to do. So I actually got quite a bit of work done while we were talking. So thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And the one thing I wanted to leave everybody in the audience, and before I say this, just know I am not a paid affiliate of Work and Play Entertainment. But I'm not going to tell you the long story. The short version of my origin story is that, 14 years ago, I was a real struggling single mom, y'all. I'm talking about, I remember there were days literally where like my daughter was on free reduced lunch. Thank God for that program. But at work, I would be looking in my car for change to buy myself lunch. Like I was real struggling. Like fast forward, now I am a full-time entrepreneur. I remember I used to pray at my desk job that I hated. And I used to have to beg for time off to go to my daughter's, recital or performance. And my boss would give me a hard time. I'm like, damn, this is why I hate having a 9 to 5. Well, now I don't have to do that anymore. I say all that to say SEO is the thing that changed the trajectory of my life, like literally. When I invested time to learning about SEO and my website ranked on the first page of Google, from that day forward, like my business literally exploded in a good way, but I wasn't prepared. I'll tell that story later. But the reason why I state that is because I want you to know when you reach out to Favor, you're not paying him. You are investing in your business. You are investing. I want everyone to start adapting the mindset that when you spend money on things related to your business, it's not an expense, it's an investment, okay? That is going to come back to you 10 times forward because a lot of y'all have so much talent. Like if you're a service-based business, I know so many people, they're so talented. Their products are so dope. Their content is so great. They're just not quite getting the opportunities because of the visibility. There's like a block right there. So mastering SEO, if this is not on your to-do list for 2026, I need you to put it like somewhere up towards the top, along with like mental health and self-care. SEO needs to be right after that. So Favor is someone that I vouch for. Don't reach out to me. I'm not doing any client services right now. But Favor is someone that I personally vouch for. And if I personally vouch for them, that says a lot because I'm really big on my reputation. I don't like referring people to people that are going to screw them over. So do yourself a favor, just reach out. He has discovery calls, all kinds of calls, and it might be the thing that changes the game for your business in 2026. Okay, that's all. I'll pass it back to you, Favor.
Thank you so much, Celeste. I appreciate you. Just gotta give you your flowers. Thank you. I appreciate you. I love to give this information just because I know someone somewhere is going to get it, understand it, or might as well just book a call and actually get it done, because there are people who want to get it done but can't, or people who want to get it done and will. I don't know who that person would be, but for me, I'll always make sure I'm available to make sure that is applicable for you. So yeah, book a call with me. And before the end of 2025, just to give you guys some context, the link you see at the top is an article that I wrote the day, New Year's Eve. Yeah, it was New Year's Eve. And I wrote this article focusing on, is it worth hiring an SEO expert in 2026? This is an 11-minute read. So I would encourage you to click this link above and read it. I focused on so many things in this article when it comes to content, ROI, saving, quality, pricing, so that when it's time for you to decide which way you want to go, there's no guesswork. It's all in here. So I really created a table comparison chart so that you can read the article and check it out. And then if you want more information, sign up. If you want to get on a call with me, the link is available in the chat so that we can talk about this, privately. Justice, you have a question. Do you think AI writing articles are still a red flag on all search engines? That's a very good question. Now, I would love to hear Celeste's response on this too. But I'll start off by saying this. AI writing content or just writing articles or writing in period with AI is not a bad thing. It becomes a bad thing when it's not branded, when it's not personalized, when it's not targeted, and when it's not specific. And AI will not get you those 4 things all at once because you need to have your tone infused. So it's great for research. It's great to put out content. You can use AI, write your articles. But here's the red flag with this. If you are to be ranking on the web for something, what separates your article from the next person who did the same thing that you did? That's usually the question I like to ask first. Because if there's no so this is looking at me. If there's no demarcation, if there's no sideline, if there's no specific thing I can say between these 2 articles that separates them apart because they came from the same source, it's going to be hard for me to know which one is really saying the truth. And how am I going to see that? So the best way to do this, Justice, is yes, you can still write it, but at the same time, add your own, I would say your own flavor to it. No pun intended. Because when you create your content, right, and you put in, I'll give you an example, a case study or a win or a testimonial or a statistic or an infographic or a video or a podcast feature or something of that sort that puts you in a position that says, hey, I know we're talking about this thing. It's AI written or it's AI decorated. Even the picture that you see at the top, that's an AI image that I created. You see how it says SEO expert on the left, SEO agency on the right? I created that AI image to depict the story that I want to show. So it's not a problem to use AI, but it needs to be done in a way that makes sense, that actually fits and is also applicable as well. So feel free to do it, but also don't overdo it to the point where you're not changing anything, because AI is not going to do your H1s. AI is not going to do your content. AI can do your schema, but you still have to put your schema into the system. So use AI as leverage to, save on your time and energy, but don't use it to the point where you're dependent on it and it's literally having, I'll call it an imbalance with your content delivery. So I hope that helps. Celeste, what would you say about that with AI content?
Ooh, this is a sticky subject for me. So I'll just say this. Okay, Favour, I would love to know also your thoughts when I say this. So if you're already not getting a lot of SEO juice, then you don't have anything to lose. I'm a fan of testing things and seeing what happens. If your SEO's already doing well, I would not recommend putting a bunch of AI content and articles and stuff on your website because that might hurt your SEO versus subject A. Like I said, there's nothing to lose, so you could test it and see. I am a big researcher and I haven't found any online data to specify the answer to this question. Another thing I was going to say is, what was I going to say about the AI SEO? Oh, I was just kind of put it on myself. My website does really good with ranking with what keywords I wanted to rank for. So I'm not touching any AI content. I know I use Wix to host my website and they have this new AI assistant and it will literally not only write the blogs, but schedule them for you. Same with your email marketing. Now I have done it for email marketing, but like Favour says, I personalize it. That's what I was going to bring up about the EAT. So I guess I'm answering the question with a thought that I want answers to. So you remember right before AI, Google was like, "Oh, we are now using this new system to rank EAT. E stands for expertise, A stands for authority, and T for trust." So I'm just confused that if they are still using that system to, rank and recommend content, how does that also coincide with AI? Because literally AI kind of delineates from that system. So that's where I'm kind of like stuck. But AI is still kind of new, and I haven't seen any data to prove or disprove this theory. What do you think, Favor?
That's a very good point that you brought up. And it's also very important to look at I'll call it the Google Search Central for documentation purposes, because I always do research. I will never tell you anything that I didn't research. If I don't know it, I wouldn't even speak on it. But if I've done research on it, I know enough to make sure that I can reference you to a place. So I know you mentioned the EAT. They added an E before the E. So what you just said is the expertise, the authority, and the trust. There's also another E that stands for experience. So there's experience, there's expertise, there's authority, and there's trust. So the experience is what they're using, and we talked about this earlier, kind of, sort of, the user experience. So I put a link in the chat, which is going to take you to the documentation from Google, developers.google.com. And then you can do /search and you'll see the rest of them there with their documents. And it's talking about creating helpful content. So they call it helpful content because if something is helpful to you and you have a good experience, let's say I taught you how to tie a tie, for example, how to bake a cake. The experience behind that teaching is what's going to make you love or hate that experience you just went through, technically. So the experience of AI, from what I'm seeing, is that you don't want to be blatant with AI. You don't want to be so nano banana, if I can say it like that, where you're just doing it just because everyone is doing it, or Sora because that's what the trend is. But you're actually using these tools that have given you the ability to think outside the box to now create something that actually gets somebody interested in what you're doing. Like for me, one of the things that I'm going to be doing this year, I've talked about it. I'm sure Dr. Fashion has heard it before. She's like, yeah, Favor, you've talked about this before. But I like to take my time on this. And when it comes to animation, I'm going to be teaching people how to do SEO by animation. I'll just be sitting by a fence and I'll be talking to you about animation. I did it on my Instagram. So there's one that I put there as a sample, but I'm going to start flooding it very soon because I want to make sure that when I'm giving people insights, they're able to learn it. So when someone is looking at animation, they are not thinking, was this thing made with AI? Was this thing made? They're not thinking about that. They're thinking about the value they're about to get from that conversation or that little time of window that they have available to spend with you. So when I look at AI and I look at people using images with AI, I would do that. Even my podcast right now, every episode has an image that's AI related. And I realize people actually love it because I actually create the image with ideogram.ai. I know I talked to Ryan about this some time back, and it's been amazing. Now you can even turn it into different characters, and it's evolved, right? You can do anime, you can do figure, you can do stick figures, you can do whatever it is. You can create it your own way. So with Google's EEAT formula, it allows you to have an experience. So it doesn't mean that I'm just going to plaster AI images because I made a prompt and now this is the image that came up. You have to go beyond that, right? Compress that image. After you compress that image, rename the file of that image. Put the keywords that you've targeted. Upload that image into your CMS, right? Like I use Wix too. Upload that into your CMS. When you do that, you upload that, you get the extension file, you get the right compression, you now upload that image into your system. You have to also put a link into that image. You also have to create an alt text, alternative text to that image. So all those little things that you're doing, you're putting schema on top of it, right? If these things are happening and you're following the fundamental rules of how to make sure SEO is structural for you, it's even better because people actually love AI images because they're wondering, oh, wow, this is art. This is something that you can actually watch or see because it's unique. It doesn't look like everybody else's AI image. So there's a way you can make it as your unique way, and Google is not going to ding you for it. Where Google's going to ding you for it is when you start doing the wrong things. You just upload as is, you upload whatever, it's whatever file name. There's no conventional naming, there's no structure, there's no schema, there's no architectural, nothing. It's just bricks and sand. It's unstructural. But if you turn those bricks and sand into a house, into a castle, into a fortitude, into a map that you can walk through, then it's easy for someone to access because you've allowed someone to use a red carpet to walk through as opposed to throwing dirt on the wall trying to figure out if it's going to stick. So AI to me is the future and it's the beginning of discovery, but I shouldn't use it. We shouldn't use it. You shouldn't use it as a means to an end that is kind of like taking a faster route. It should be more so personalized in a way that somebody feels like, wow, you actually thought about this. You didn't just throw it at me because it feels like AI. It should feel natural and it shouldn't take away the substance, because the difference between a human and AI is emotion, right? AI doesn't give you emotion. So if that emotional connection is not there and you didn't create that emotion from what you gave, then the emotion is not even in motion. It's off. It's completely off. So I think it definitely makes sense to bridge it down and ask yourself, what am I doing with this image? Because I don't want to plaster you with images. If you look at my Instagram profile picture right now, it's a ChatGPT image that I'm breaking through Instagram. I sent it as an email. People have said, hey, I love that image. Now it's my avatar, right? Because it sparks influence. It's still my face on it. And I intentionally wore my merchandise and I was able to now turn that into a product I could still use intellectual property wise on my image. So you have to think outside the box and do it in a way that is unique, but it's not forceful. It's not like, ugh. I want to make sure that it feels okay, Wusa. It feels connecting. It feels like, okay, we actually get each other. There's something here. There's something resonating. We're in sync. So that's really how it should be able to create that blend in between. And Justice says that makes sense, especially if your bounce rate is significantly low. Yes, it will indicate that you have solved the searcher's problem. Exactly. The more watch time, the more screen time, the more overtime this person spends, the better. And when you use platforms like Microsoft Clarity to check your heat map, to check your site map, to check all those things and know exactly how much people are spending, low intent, medium intent, high intent, these are things that we track. So we were able to know, okay, you don't have this on your website, we'll install it. It's free of charge. That's why Microsoft and Google gives you these platforms for free. But where the technical, the tactical, and the strategical points come in is where we now, as experts and professionals and specialists and people who have been doing this for a while, can now come into the room and help you with that. So we don't want you guessing. That's why we do these rooms. I could be easily doing something else today. I could do whatever I want to do, just like you. But I'm like, no, I'd rather be here with you so that I can help you start off the year in a better way, because you just don't know what tomorrow is holding. If you're able to secure your tomorrow today, then how many tomorrows can you have from today? So me, these days, I'm treating every minute with so much precious value that I have to make sure that it makes sense, and it also makes sense. SENSE and CENTS. So that's how you do it. And Valerie says, yeah, Queen Celeste, check your DMs on Instagram. Yeah, Celeste, you got a mail. You got some mail. So I'd love to hear from you, Celeste. What's your thoughts? And thank you for saying the room is fire, Valerie.
I will be checking my DM shortly. Thank you. No, you explained that very, very well. Thank you. I will have to have another room on AI. I am still like one of those old people, y'all, that I just want to I won't say necessarily ignore it, but avoid it is a good word. But alas, here we are. So maybe we can have another room on that subject, because it's too much info, too deep. But maybe y'all could push me over the edge. Also, I watch a lot of Black Mirror. Favor, did you ever watch that show?
I haven't watched it.
Oh my God. Watch
One thing
it.
about me, I was just talking about this with someone. I was like, I don't know how people. I've tried it myself. Like, if I love something, I'll watch it to the finish. But I haven't had time to just sit down and watch TV. that's the thing. Like, I can see it. Like, I will turn the TV on and I'm like, cool, but the TV is probably off because I'm just working. But yeah, I'll definitely get some time to watch it. And that's why this year, one of the major things I'm doing is buying back time. And I'm so glad you actually asked me this question, because buying back time for me and for you is a great gain for everybody. And what I mean by that is there's some things that don't need to be answered if they've been explained. Valerie said, "You're getting that money, no time for TV." Turn the TV off.
Period. Okay. I love it.
You know, because I'm like, these people on TV are great. They're doing great. But I'm like, okay, how much time am I going to spend watching, sitting down and spending when I could be here on Clubhouse talking to y'all? I could be watching basketball. I could be watching soccer. I could be watching something, right? But I'm like, let me use this time wisely, because, you know, somebody might need this. That's my thought process. So somebody doesn't need me watching TV, but I need to watch what's going on. I love watching movies. I love, you know, comedies, documentaries, movies, series. I love them all. You know, music. I'm a musician. I'm a drummer. So I'm very into these things and I do them. But when it's time to work, when it's time to get down to business, and it's time to get these things out the way, yeah, I definitely want to be part of this. And that's why I'm here consistently. And I think it's great that these questions are being asked, because I'm able to know what people are thinking and what people actually need. I don't want to waste nobody's time at all. That's not on my watch. No. I want to make sure that what you gain is something that you can multiply in value. And that buying back time thing allowed me to now create a 12-hour training. So I have a 12-hour training. For those that haven't heard this before, I have a 12-hour training, which I'm going to be talking about. So now that, you know, Celeste, you asked me this question, I wasn't planning to do this, but here we go. I was like, you know what? I don't know when I'm going to talk about this. So maybe because we're towards the end, I'm going to bring this to your attention. So I'm going to put the link at the top of the room. Here we go. This is the first time I'm actually showing you guys this link. It's a 12-hour training, and you can get 26% off at the top. When you click the link, you'll see it the whole January, and there are two options you can choose. So for the last 12 months, I have seen, and I mean, it's way more than 12 months, but I use this last 12 months as a case study, because when 2025 started, I said that by 2026, I want to get to the position where questions that people are asking me frequently are answered without me having to speak in real time. So that means you have access to all the information that you could have asked me on a call that you can do within your hours of training, whether it's 12 hours you want to spend in a day or 12 hours through a 12-week period. It's up to you at your pace. So I've built this 12-hour training that allows you to be in connection with me, and also you're able to have access to that information yourself. And I broke it down into different parts. It's a quadrant. So there's SEO itself, of course, there's podcast, there's Pinterest, right? And you're able to use these things fundamentally, especially with AI. So it's allowing you to get more specific and granular. And there are payment plans. You can also decide to use a payment plan or do it one time. And majorly what this is going to do is you're getting access to information that will help you scale. And I've given you guys some tools today, right? I'm always giving tools. I'm happy to give tools any day, anytime. When it now gets down to actually using these tools and tracking these tools and implementing these tools and actualizing these tools, it's a whole different ball game. We can be talking, hey, yeah, we can play. When now you get in the ring, or you get on the pitch, or you get on the field, that's when your true nature is going to perform. That's when we're going to really know if you really do this or not. So that's why I said, hey, it's better for you to see it on your own. And then as you're going through it, you have an accountability partner that can take you through that. So within those 12 hours, you know, okay, I can accomplish this in 3 months. Give yourself 3 months, because everybody's busy. Right now, people are busy getting ready for the new year, getting kids from school, picking kids from school. There's a lot going on. Bills are being paid, things are happening. So I understand when a new year, things have to happen in a very systematic, strategic way, especially if you plan for the new year last year. So I want to make sure I can accelerate your planning by looking at 12 hours into your day and asking yourself, how much time do I have for myself? And why, before I even did this, I actually did something with my community, because nothing I do is done without research. That's something I always say, 100%. I sent an email to our community and I asked, hey, how much time do you actually spend? It was a poll question. How many hours do you spend on your business per week? I think it was per week or per month. Yeah, it was per week. Yeah, it was per week because I wanted to have a weekly breakdown. It was per week. And it was like 0 to 20 hours, 21 hours to 40 hours, 41 hours to 60 hours, 61 hours to 80 plus hours. And I got to see the data and I was like, okay, if people are spending this amount of time per week on their business times 52 weeks in the year, how much time do they actually have if you compound the value of interest? So I'm not just thinking about, oh, we got 12 hours. I'm thinking about those 12 hours can save the next 12 months of your business because you practicalize the things that we actualized or talked about in theory. And now you can actually see it for yourself for your business because every business is different. Celeste said it earlier too. So if you want to get on a call with me, the link is in the chat. We can have an actual call, have a discussion. You can ask me about this question, about this thing if you need. If you want an audit for your website, that's available too. If you need consultation, that's available too. If you need us to actually build a website, that's available. If you need a scaling podcast, that's available. Whatever you need this year that you have it as a business that's digital marketing related, I wanted to make sure I'm at the forefront of that. So that's why I'm starting off this year by giving you this information, and you can set it up for yourself if you need to. But at the end of the day, the goal is to ask yourself, where am I in my business? Am I just going to be on information overload, or am I actually going to actualize what I'm being told? And then you do your own research too, because I love it when you do your research because it helps me help you better. I don't know everything. I'm learning as I learn your business. I may not know your business today, but maybe in a month from now, in a week from now, in a year from now, I'm solid. We're good. We're Gucci, because we understand what's going on. But if we don't do it now, how are we going to do it when we get the time to do it? So that's why I take my time to do things like this. Thank you, Valerie. So if no one has any questions, I hope we're able to put this topic to its point of view that allows you as a business owner to decide how you want to really critically, technically, creatively set up your website and build your business for 2026 the right way and fix SEO problems that could be existing that you're not aware of. There are companies I'm going to be talking to, think about this. I'm just giving you guys real-time information because I love talking about things because you know how you talk about manifesting or praying or speaking into existence? This is it. And it's happened before. There's a client that we talked to and she, things happen along the way and we had to say, okay, let's reconvene and come back, because I got the information about something happening. And I said, yeah, Happy New Year. Let's get this going. And we're excited to get going now. Now, why I'm giving you this context is we had a 10-minute conversation and that's about $2,500 a quarter. So a 10-minute conversation turned into $2,500 for a quarter for 3 months. A 10-minute conversation, 10 minutes of my time, of your time, of our time, turned into $2,500 of investment for 3 months. Now, how many minutes do we have in an hour? 60, right? 10 minutes was spent out of the 60. Now, the implementation that we're going to do, and this is for a client, they have an app, and it's going to be exciting to see how we're going to scale it this year. And it's based on sports. So it's going to be very exciting. So placement, market positioning, and that's just to give you a little glimpse of what happens. And there are way more things that we can do, but I just want to give you a tip of the iceberg. When you think about the time you're spending, I'm going to be doing things specifically where I'll be spending 5 to 10 minutes, probably even half of that 10 minutes I spent. 5 minutes, we'll send you a recording and say, hey, here's your website. Here's what's broken. I did this for a client. I'm about to send an email today and I'm excited to see what they say because they've been checking it out and they're just like, okay, we're quiet, but we'll see. It's the quiet ones. It's the quiet ones. It's those quiet ones you have to be very tactical and also be very, I'll say, be very knowledgeable about your business, so that when that time arises and that opportunity comes, you're not found missing, you're not found wanting, you're not found questioning yourself or doubting yourself. So it's very important to look at that. So I found a company that has been really connecting with us for a while now, and I ended up finding about close to 200 links that are broken on their website, and these are brands that they're connected to. So these brands are losing traffic because it's kind of like a colossal effect, if I can say it that way, because it's like a domino effect. I can say that too, because you have a website that's generating traffic, but the traffic is being plummeted by third-party applications that you're not aware of, which is externally, I would say, an external factor. If you kind of use like the pest analysis, it's an external factor, right? And now with this external factor, you've now, how do I say this? You've now put yourself in a position where you would have to contact these brands who potentially have changed their business names, brand names, or links, and you don't know. And these are the same brands you're doing business with transactionally. So you're losing or making money, which is great. But if you look at the indirect response to that, you're losing both in traffic and in credibility, because you have more broken links, which should not be there in the first place. So when I looked at that, I said, hey, I'm going to send you all a 5-minute video, show you exactly which links these are. Here are the people. Here's what your ranking is showing exactly. And here's your report card. What are we going to do about this? Are we going to just leave it there, or are we going to do something about it? And that's 100% not my decision to make. I'm just going to show you the reality. It's kind of like a doctor telling you, hey, here's what you got. What do you want to do about it? So this is the same thing I'm looking at from a business perspective, because there are so many businesses that are losing money because they don't even know where they're showing up on the internet. Are they on ChatGPT? Are they on Siri? Do they know their market positioning? Do they even know they have a website that's been built that has backlinks, or that has toxic links, or that has broken links or duplicated links? These are things that sound like Greek. But once you're able to see them in vision and know exactly where to detect them and decode them from, and then update them to, it's a win-win, because I want you to win, and I don't want to see those. It's kind of like a car. You don't want to see a squeaky car. You want to have a car that can drive well. So I hope this helped you all and gave you some insight as well. So thank you, Celeste. Thank you, Dr. Fashion, Ryan, Unique, Monty. Thank you for being here, Valerie. Appreciate you, Rider Girl Karma. Nick, Justice, thank you for that question. That was great. Lucas, Renee, it's good to see you here. It's been a minute. And thank you so much for being here. I appreciate each and every one of you. Before we go, please put in the chat, what topic would you like me to discuss next? I'm just going to give you guys like a minute to put it in the chat, because I value your time very, very well. I really value your time. So what topics would you want us to discuss? You can put in 1 word, 2 words, 3 words, sentence, however you want to do it. And I'll take a screenshot of it so that I can turn them into actual rooms that we can talk about. Not Black Mirror. You're gonna mod that room. You're gonna mod that room for sure. 100%. What? Yeah, Celeste, that is 100% on you. Yeah, we're going to definitely have a great time. So I'm excited. This is going to be good. Unique says, because of your info, my metric is a B with an 82% and 95% structure. So thank you. Wow. That is big. Thank you, Unique. I'll reach out to you. I would love to know more about that. That is exciting. Yeah, this is a good thing. We're supposed to help each other grow at different capacities. We're 8 billion people. I can't help everyone, but if I can help one person, help another, we can compound the interest and we can compound the value, because each one teaches one. I think that's the rule of thumb. So thank you so much for that feedback, Unique. Lucas says SEO versus GEO. The cosmetics of SEO. That's what I call it now, because there's so many cosmetics. There's so many words: SXO, AEO, AIO. Here we go. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Okay, here we go. So we're going to talk about it. We'll talk about it and we'll break it down so that you can see the actual value exchange, as opposed to the cosmetics and the definitive terms that shouldn't be, I wouldn't say they shouldn't be in a complicated way. They should be understood and not processed in a way that sounds like it's Greeky, if I can use that word. It should just make sense. It should have a layman's term attached to it, and it should actually add value so that when you listen to it, it makes sense. Like, think about businesses that, like, I would talk to, like, C-suite level businesses, CMOs, CFOs. They don't, CTOs, they don't talk about these metrics and jargon that we talk about. They sound fancy. They want to see results. They want to see numbers. They want to see profit. They want to see margins. They want to see evaluations. They want to see reports. They want to see testing. They want to see things that actually move the needle. So I'm glad that we talk about these things, percentages and great stuff. But if we're able to just handle the nitty gritty, like we've talked about today with structure, it's going to really help you as a business. So thank you for that, Lucas. I'll bring that in. Ryan says vibe coding sites versus the WordPress. Very important question. Okay, so I'm going to definitely capture these as well. These are very good topics. So yeah, I'll cover these in the next rooms that we have. So we'll talk about this more. And I hope this has helped you, is giving you insight, is giving you foresight, is giving you hindsight. And I hope this just gives you insight in general. And I hope you're enjoying your Taco Tuesday for those who love tacos. So please feel free to reach out, connect, let's talk, let's have a conversation. And I look forward to seeing you guys all in the next room, in the next episode. So until then, enjoy the rest of your day. God bless you all, and see you guys very soon.
At Arizona State University, we're bringing world-class education from our globally acclaimed faculty to you. Earn your degree from the nation's most innovative university. Online. That's a degree better. Learn more at asuonline.asu.edu.